What's up, everybody? How is it going, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Filling in the Gaps. I'm your host, Flo Joe, and today we're going to be talking about one of the most, most popular cases going on right now in America. We're going to be talking about the Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf case. How's everybody doing tonight? Let me just make sure that I go ahead and say hello to everybody. Who do we have? Who do we have here tonight? Jazzy Jess is in the house. Heather's here. Nay, none of your business. And then I rock. Ramona Healer's here. Jad, how's it going, Mama Flo? Sydney's here. Natalie, welcome. Ash. Joey, how's it going? I see Joy is here. Pink Panther, what's up, Tammy? Barbara Bish, welcome. How is everybody doing tonight? It feels good to be back, you guys. And I want to basically say I think we got a pretty decent show lined up for you guys today. We're joined by a very special guest, which I'll be introducing to you guys in a minute. But we have a guest that's going to be joining the panel today and going to be sharing their experience as they were actually there out of the courtrooms on Monday and Tuesday. So I'll introduce you to that very special guest in a quick minute. But I just want to make sure I say hello to everybody that's here. We're streaming on YouTube, Kick, Twitch, and then we're also in the vertical mode too. So if you dislike the vertical mode, make sure that you head on over to my page and click one of the live videos, and it should take you to the horizontal view. So if you don't like it, just go ahead and figure out which one you do like. But what I want to do right now is I want to bring a very special guest. She is the co-founder of Crime Scene Collective. I want to introduce everybody to Alina Smith. Let me bring her up to the stage. Alina, how's it going?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me tonight. How are you and how's everybody?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here and talk about the case and the other things that we have going on in the crime world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I learned that you're out in Texas, so you were very close to the courthouse, and I heard that you were out there, and I thought it was a great idea to make sure that we can have you on as a special guest and kind of talk about your experience out there. But I want to ask the chat really quick. For all of you guys that are here in the chat, put a 1 in the chat if you guys are familiar with this case. Put a 2 in the chat if you guys, have been following but aren't so up to date with all of the details. Because we're going to be talking about this this case, and it's gotten crazy, right? Since the verdict has been read. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, being here local, and this is where the incident happened is Frisco, Texas, and I mean, I'm not going to give up exactly where I am, but it's about 5 minutes from me where the incident happened, and then the courthouse is about 10 miles from me, so I'm right in the hub of it. And I don't live in Frisco, but I have family and friends and colleagues that live in Frisco. So I've been here almost 10 years. So, it's an established area for me. It's our go-to area for, not just myself, but this entire community. I'm sure, where a lot of us live, we have malls, where you go to, it's your go-to town that you go to the mall where
Sure.
That's Frisco for us. Frisco has the main mall that everybody in the surrounding towns go to. That Frisco has a lot of the main, places that everybody drives to go to biggest restaurants, the malls, the, doctors, hospitals, anything that's Frisco, and it's such a big, kind of city town. I mean, it started off as a little, town. So now it's I think it's recognized as more of a city. I'm not sure yet, but I mean, for us, it's it started as a town, so it was more of a local thing, but for me, that's kind of, my perception of it. But seeing the last few weeks, what it has turned into, I had to go. I had to see for myself because, we were getting kind of just clips and little bits and pieces, and I wanted to see for myself because, like I said, this is my community. These are my friends. These are my neighbors. This is my family. And the way that we were kind of led to believe was that this was a very tense and violent, vile, uncomfortable situation. And I wanted to show my, followers and supporters and, everybody my own view and perception of it, and give my own opinion, of what was really happening over there.
Now, since this case actually started and finished in a record amount of time, I want to say, what, 6 days, right? So from jury selection all the way to reading the verdict and the sentencing. Since then, how has the community been? Have you noticed any kind of protests out there? What's the climate out there?
Excuse me. Yes. So you're right. It was a very quick the whole part of it. Like, it was expected to last 2 weeks. And I honestly can't say if that 2 weeks included jury selection, but I think the trial was expected to last 2 weeks. So if that's the case, then we would have expected it to only be at this point in week one, because it actually started a week ago today, because jury selection was from Monday through Wednesday. And then the state started with their testimony a week ago today on, June, I had the date here, I think June 6th, right? Or no, that was the Saturday when they rested. So June 4th is when the state started. And then they only took 2.5, 2 to 3/4 days to finish up with their part of it. And they rested on Saturday. And then at that point, the defense was given, had some time in the day left. So they presented 2 to 3 witnesses. And then, the end of the day happened. So they had to adjourn and then start back up on Monday. Monday wasn't even a full day. So to even say that the defense had used as much time as the state is I can't even say that they used a day. They didn't. I feel they didn't even use hours at this point, or only hours, because they had the end of Saturday and then they started on Monday. Court starts at 9 o'clock. So I would assume by the time everything gets going, maybe 9:30, right? And they took it. Typically, I was told that the week before they were taking their lunches between 11:30 and 12 every day, right?
Yeah.
So that, and I'm talking to everybody in the parking lot. I'm trying to get all the information, what to expect, what here, what there. I network, I talk. I love to talk. I love to gather information. So I'm trying to reach out and get the whole, what am I going to be expecting here come lunchtime? Is there a morning break? Is there this? Is there that? There's no morning break to be expected. So now I'm just waiting for the 11:30, 12 o'clock hour. Well, around 11:15, there's all this commotion and buzz happening. So I'm like, what's up, right? And we find out they're going off to lunch around 11:15. Well, that's kind of different. So now there's another, a buzz happening in the parking lot. And,
this is on Monday?
This is on Monday. Yes.
On Monday, wow.
So what this tells me is if court started at 9, well, that's what, 9:30, they maybe, really began. So 9:30, 10:30. So they
less than 2 hours, right?
For an hour and a half. Right. And then they decide to go off to lunch. Right. So here we have just an hour and a half. It can't even be 2 hours, or let's give them 2 hours. I'm not here to take anything away from anybody. And then they go off to an extended lunch, which that hasn't happened yet. And then I'm gathering information. This is when, because it's a closed court, there's no cameras allowed. That was ruled early on. Also, there's a limited gag order, so there's only so much information we can get. But this is, when it's break time, this is when the journalists and reporters come out and they start being able to trickle out some valid and factual information versus the third-hand information that we're starting or kind of limited to getting at this point, right? And so this is when we find out that the prosecutors had a talk with Jeff Metcalf, the father of Austin, the student that lost his life. And according to them, he was a right. So this is just their perception of what happened. I'm just sharing the information. And then they went for their extended lunch. and court resumed at 12:30. So at that point, we're waiting. We're all waiting. And there's a lot of buzz happening in the parking lot. This is happening, that we see people running up and down the stairs. Every time we see that, we think something's happening here. You know, everyone's ears are peeled and perked. And so there's just a lot of things coming out. They're talking about having the defendant testify. They're talking about having the victim's brother, because he has a twin brother, and testifying. Then even more buzz is happening. Oh my gosh, now they're talking about perhaps there's a plea deal on the table. Well, we don't know. But what I can say that I witnessed with my own eyes, because like I said, we did hear that somebody came out and said that the father of the victim was a bit agitated with something that was said to him prior to this extended lunch.
Mm.
He looks agitated and is pacing back and forth. So there's some agitations on both sides here. Something's stirring, you know, and now we have that on both sides, that there's some unhappiness or there's some conversations. And then we find out they never went back and resumed court. They came back from the lunch break and then had another break. So they're still on break. And this is like 1:30. We're going into 1:45. They're still on break. So nobody knows what's going on. And this is, and you know, I'm reaching out to any lawyers I know. We have the mods that are fantastic with their knowledge and everything. Everyone's saying this is not normal. This is atypical. We're trying to find out what this could be. And that's where the plea conversation comes up. This could be this could be that. Well, then around 2:20, we find out that the defense had a star witness, like a bombshell witness. And I still have not been able to verify this myself, but everything that I've read online and, all of that. Am I freezing? Some of the comments are saying that I'm freezing.
You froze a little bit earlier, but I don't think it was anything too important that we missed.
It's probably because I move around so much. I'll try not to.
You froze at the part where you said the dad heard something that made him really agitated. Okay.
Well, yeah, that was it. But we don't know what they said to him. So now it's like 2:20, and this is where we get information. But the information is that the defense had a star witness, and they were supposed to, close their whole defense strategy together, and was supposed to, tie it up and make it, what they were trying to present. And they were going to be their bombshell witness as to what they were saying that happened, that fateful day. However, from my understanding, their witness went up and said they could not continue with what they were originally going to say, and they changed their testimony, turning the whole trial kind of sideways, right? And in my opinion, I feel, and I don't know this, I don't know what happened, but this is just my opinion. I feel that, and this is what I'm hoping, is that students' parents or whoever was counseling them probably had a good, how you doing talk, and was like, are you ready to perjure yourself and put your life on the line for somebody else? Because it's either you or them that's going to go to jail at this point. And there's a video showing what you're about to contradict. So, what are you going to do here? And at that point, because there was a video showing something in contradictory to what they were going to say, I think they backed away and were like, all right, I understand what's at stake here. This is just my opinion. So this was around 2:20, and then at 2:30 or at 2:20, we find out that the defense had rested. At 2:30, court was adjourned for the day. And so again, is what my point was, they never had a full day of court. They only had the end of Saturday and the morning of Monday, an hour and a half to 2 hours maybe. And then there was the extended lunch plus the break. They went back around 2:20-ish, and then court was adjourned and the defense rested by 2:30, and that was it. And then all we got after that is we'll see y'all at 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning with opening or closing arguments.
And so on Tuesday, I know that they were saying that the jury took anywhere between 2.5 to 3 hours to deliberate, and they were supposed to return, if I'm not mistaken, was it 12 o'clock or was it 2 o'clock?
So they returned, around 1:40ish, I believe, and then the verdict was going to be read after 2:05 p.m. East Central Time.
Okay, that makes sense. So that
So
would be like 12 for me
yes.
on my time. Okay, so there really wasn't any time on Tuesday for anything to take place besides the jury and their deliberation.
Well, they
And
had the closing arguments on Tuesday. So, and the state did not want the state. I don't know the right verbiage. I'm pretty sure Heather or Chloe can tell us, but they passed up their right to have a rebuttal, or chose not to have a rebuttal, and that, I guess, shows how confident they are in this case. And they were like, yeah, we're not going to choose to have a rebuttal to whatever the defense says in their closing arguments. And then they waived their right to close, and they waived their right to close first. So the defense went first, and then the state, and then also the jury instructions were read prior to closing arguments. So that didn't need to happen after, which is also was originally assumed that was going to take some time after closing arguments, but nope. So right after closing arguments, they handed the case over to the jury, and the jury went off to have lunch first, and then they started their deliberations.
and that deliberation only took 2.5, 3 hours, which I don't know. My opinion is was fairly quick for them to come back with a decision. And obviously, we'll get into what the verdict is. But I do kind of want to take a few steps back to kind of go over this case, just to give everybody a little quick summary of the entire situation, the entire case, and what led up to everything taking place. So we do have two people that were involved, and we do have the victim, who is Austin Metcalf, who was a 17-year-old junior at Memorial High School in Frisco, Texas. He was a track and field athlete and what they call a standout MVP linebacker on the football team. Austin also had a twin brother. His name was Hunter Metcalf, who was also present and involved in the initial confrontation. And then we have the suspect, who is Karmelo Anthony, who is 17 years old at the time. Currently, he's now 19. He was a student at Centennial High School in Frisco. My notes say here that he's the oldest of 4 children. Family moved from Baton Rouge. He also was a track and football team captain. He was an honor student, on track to graduate, with no criminal history. The defense highlighted that his smaller stature was roughly around 130 pounds and positioned him as fearful in a chaotic confrontation with larger peers. So, Alina, from what you know, talk to us. Tell us about what you know of the events leading up to the crime.
Well, I just know what we know. Like, I know that that there was a track meet, and there was tents set up for each team. I'm older, and I ran track. I played sports when I was in high school, and I do remember having the tents and the separate areas from other teams. And we didn't have other students come under our areas. So when I think of that, I understand that having somebody from another team or another, I don't know how the dynamics work with. I have all girls, so honestly, I can't give opinion on something I don't have a lot of knowledge about. So I just try to stick with the facts that we have. And what I do know is that they asked him to leave, and he didn't. But there was a friend of his that kind of vouched for him, or said that he's okay to be there. But when things got kind of tense, this friend did not stand up for him or kind of come stand by side, next to him when things got kind of, heated. And, at one point, the victims came to him, to the defendant, and asked some more direct questions. And the defendant said, you don't want to know what's going to happen or something. And this is where things got kind of physical, which ended up in this tragedy. And at that point, the defendant ran off, and that's when the police found him, is from what I understand. And here we have it. Here we are today, and there's a big conflict as to, you know, what's right and what's wrong, I guess, or, you know, if this was avoidable or not.
So there's a track meet, obviously two rival high schools, and what I've learned or what I've read is that Karmelo Anthony, who is one of the rivals from the opposite high school, comes and sits under their tent. I want to say it's close to the bleachers. And he's basically sitting under the tent. Per the prosecution, it says that he was uninvited, but the defense is saying that he was just simply seeking shelter because it was raining. It was rainy,
Right.
and then there was the confrontation where Hunter, who is Austin's brother or his twin, tells Karmelo to leave the tent, and then Austin confronts him, and then they get into this argument. And Anthony, Karmelo, the person who was seated, he reaches into his backpack and states the words to the effect of, touch me and see what happens, or touch me and find out, right? Let's see. I'm reading here in my notes that there was a lot of foul language being used. One student, per their testimony, they were, and pardon my French, but they were using language calling some of the students pussies who aren't going to do anything about it. After that, basically Austin stands and pushes and shoves Karmelo with two hands, or it was two-handed shove, to remove him from the tent. And after repeated requests, let me see here. What does it say? Anthony pulls out a folding knife. Now, a lot of people are questioning why Karmelo Anthony had this tool, as some people would say. Some people would say it was a pocket knife, utility knife. But one of the bigger questions was, why does he have this knife on school campus, right?
Right.
And so what I read is that Karmelo takes the knife and he stabs Austin in the chest. And what I've heard is that he basically pierces chest and essentially pierces heart, to the effect where Austin bled out.
Yeah.
He died. They said that he died in Hunter's arms. So
Yeah.
Hunter basically watched him, pass away before his eyes.
Yeah. It was really sad. Like, I guess when Hunter was holding him, I guess the screams were so like extraordinary that even the jurors winced and had emotional reactions during those videos.
After Karmelo stabs Austin Metcalf in the chest, he basically flees. He runs away from the tent. And per reports, right, because there is no surveillance footage that has been released to the public, although I'm sure maybe one day, sometime soon, that footage may come out. I know that the jury and everybody in the courtroom has seen it, but they were saying that in that surveillance video, which captures the pushing under the tent, there's students who are scattering rapidly, and Anthony is exiting the stadium area less than 1 minute later. He's basically chased down near the stadium, and basically he raises his hand and he's detained by police without any kind of incident. And upon him being approached by police, per the arrest report, there was no denying by Karmelo, right? He basically pretty much admitted it, that he did do it. He's not alleged, I did it, and that he did it because he was protecting himself. And some of the things that he said was, he put his hands on me and I told him not to.
Something like that. And am I going to be okay? Right.
Yeah. Let me see. There was also something. So in the police car, he basically asked, is he going to be okay? He
Mhm.
asked if Austin's going to be okay, and then inquired whether his actions could be considered self-defense, as he was crying hysterically.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's a senseless act, and obviously none of us were there, so we don't know what else happened during that altercation. But it's crazy that it had to come to something like this, right?
Absolutely. It shouldn't have happened. Like it could have been avoided. Honestly, it could have been avoided.
And obviously there's excuse me, what none of us want, but obviously has already happened, is this whole thing has now become a racial conflict,
Right.
right? And there has been a lot of back and forth about the fairness of this trial. A lot of people in the community have touted against the final seating of the jury, how the jury was actually selected. Um, you know, the community is claiming that there were no black jurors on the jury at all. Or I've also read things that this was an all white jury, right? But there have been reports that even that information is not correct. If I'm not mistaken, there were 12 jurors with 6 alternates. Um, None of them were black jurors. The panel that was included someone who was Middle Eastern, Southeast Asians, um, but none that were identified as black. I know that there were about 11 women, 7 men, and 1 juror was an educator, but not in a traditional like K through 12 school environment.
Right. Um,
Um, your thoughts on the jury selection?
I mean, from my understanding, this is again, I cannot vouch for this. This is just stuff I've read. So I can't say it's factual, but I did, and remember, I'm local, so I hear a lot of things that not everybody out there hears, and for people that live in areas that have local cases, I'm sure you know that when you're local, you hear
Oops, you cut out.
that there were other jurors selected that were, black, but they would say, I can't promise that I won't be unbiased, So both the defense and the state have a hand in selecting the jury.
Electing
So
these jurors, that's right.
and even and I don't know how it happened in this case, but I know in other cases the families can be a part of jury selection as well.
I've never seen it happen, but I mean, I don't disagree. I
At the
know that
lot, you know.
there was the discussion about the Batson challenge that came up. Um, there were there were 3 potential black female jurors, described as similarly situated to a white female juror who was not struck, but some reports cited that the educator's status or expressed concerns about biased media influence as race neutral reasons offered by the state. Um, let me see. I'm trying to see what else there was. So I know there was a question that either the prosecution brought up, and they were asking, are they capable of prosecuting a teen? And some of them were basically saying that, they don't feel like they could prosecute a teen, and that would basically strike them as a potential candidate as a juror.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and so, I mean, if that's the case, that person would not make a great candidate to sit on this trial,
Right.
right? Because
Exactly.
then you would have a biased juror, and obviously it wouldn't be treated fairly.
Right. And it could lead to a mistrial, could lead to more conflict, it could lead to more chaos. I mean, we just don't know. And again, both sides were part of the decision making for the jury. So to blame the jury is just not, the jury didn't do anything here. They were selected to make a final decision on information that was presented to them. They're not who was on trial here. And now, we're seeing in the news that the defendant's family is blaming their lawyers. And, I don't know, they're trying to get a public defender. There's already a new lawyer on the docket for the defendant that's been charged. There's just all this movement, their funds, their donation platform has been pulled. So they're starting different ones. I don't know. Like, there's just so much controversy here going on with what's been happening today at the courthouse. There's more chaos and more protests. And they're, it's still happening. It's still active. There's still, a lot of people over there. And it's just everybody's saying it's just getting started. But what is I don't know
what that is, right? That's something for us to kind of wait to see what unfolds, right? So what I want to do is I want to show a little bit of footage, because you did share with me some videos of your experience, your day over there at the courthouse. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of that really quick.
Okay. That is a video of right after the verdict was read, and then the public got information on that the verdict was guilty. And there was a lot of arguments, a lot of people getting angry and chasing and going back and forth, and a lot of conflict between individuals, and just very vile things being said towards other people. Even violence was being kind of insinuated by people over there, saying that if you slap somebody, it's only a misdemeanor, so just do it. At this point is when I just packed my stuff up and started and just left, because I wasn't there for any side. I was just there to kind of show the community, or show, like I said, my supporters, my followers, that, like I said, this is my community. These are my neighbors, my family. And I wanted to show firsthand what it was truly like. And up until this point, it wasn't like this at all. I was greeted with love and hugs and handshakes and smiles. And I had not had a sideways look at all up until right at this moment, where this was the only time I felt unsafe.
Okay, so that was actually going to be my next question. Was there any point that you did feel unsafe? I remember seeing some videos where some people brought their kids to this, and I just thought, this is absolutely like the wrong place to have children. In the event that the tension escalates, it gets pretty hectic, and some sort of shoving or fights.
So
any of that
right. So I don't know if you saw, there was so that happened right after one of the big blowouts. So there were the Black Panthers there. There were the Proud Boys there. I mean, everybody was there. There was, it was a lot. I mean, people were just button heads and all that. So after the verdict was read, and then we found out, that because it was read, and then all of us just wait in anticipation, and people are just like pacing and waiting and waiting, and it's just building and building and building. And then we get word, and it's like, he's guilty. I mean, people fell to the ground. There was screaming, there were cries, there was anger, there was rage. I mean, there was people on megaphones screaming, it was just all this different sides of emotion just coming out into the atmosphere. And then there was this couple that I saw kind of lingering, and we have to remember, this is also the biggest courthouse in Collin County. Collin County is our one of our biggest counties over here. And as you know, Texas is big. Everybody thinks this is our own country over here. And I'm from New York, so I didn't, it took me a long time to get used to how everybody operates here. And, I'm still getting used to it. So So a lot of people have showed up throughout the days, the days for their own stuff. I mean, there's people that had hearings, there's people that had parking tickets, anything. So aside from this trial happening, there's still citizens of the county that had to show up for their regular scheduled programming, right? So I saw this couple with like a 4-year-old little boy and a baby that had to have been like 2 or 3 months, and they're holding this little tiny baby with the head that couldn't even balance, just wobbling all over. And I thought they were there to get like a passport or something, or maybe pick up the baby's birth certificate because it finally came in the mail. I don't know. That's how little the baby was. And then all of a sudden, the mom screams, "Murderer!" And I'm standing right there, like where you just showed that video, and it pans to where the Black Panthers are. So I'm standing right next to them and on the grass over there, because I'm just showing, and everybody was friendly. They even said hi to me, smiled to me. I mean, we're all nice to each other. There's no reason for animosity or anger. Everybody's friends, right? And I was just standing there kind of showing everything. And this woman screams, "Murderer!" And holy cow, it wasn't the Black Panthers, just other people, supporters, just came flying over me. I mean, they ran into me. They had to hold some women back, and they charged this couple with the baby. And I'm standing right in the middle of it. And it was so intense. They came so hard for them. And so that's why the crowd is kind of moved over here to the left of if you're facing the courthouse, to the left, because they were kind of like following them. And then the police had to come and walk them off, and they were like, "Get out of here." And I'm even saying, like, isn't this child endangerment? Like, get them out of here. What's wrong with these people that they brought their children to this? Like, do what you want to do, say what you got to say, but leave your kids at home. This is ridiculous. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all saying teach your kids better. Well, leave your kids at home. Start there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely agree. This isn't the time or the place to expose any young children to this environment. I mean, these kids are just way too young to understand even what's happening, let alone experience all that emotional chaos taking place, right? But let's talk about the verdict, right? Because on June 9th, which was about 2 days ago, the jury basically deliberated for 2.5, 3 hours fairly quickly. They came back and let's see. They returned with a unanimous guilty verdict on first-degree murder. So this is the same jury then deliberated on the punishment and sentenced Karmelo Anthony, who is now 19 years old, to 35 years in prison. So I know at first, I think they were talking about that he could be eligible for anywhere between 5 to 99 years, or basically life in prison, right? But the jury selected 35. I know that Karmelo will not be eligible for parole until he serves. I think they said in Texas it's mandatory that you serve at least 50% before you become eligible for parole. So that's roughly around 17 and a half years that he would have to serve before he can even be eligible for parole. I know that the jury also rejected the manslaughter charge, right?
Right, which was added at the very last moment. That was added on Tuesday morning, when the jury got their instructions. The manslaughter charge was added. So originally it was just first-degree murder, which carried 5 to 99, and then the manslaughter charge was added, which would have carried 2 to 20 years. It's my understanding that the defense argued to not allow the manslaughter charge to be added. They wanted just to have first-degree murder or acquittal, one or the other. That's a 50-50 chance. They did not want a third option on there. I don't know why. My opinion would be, well, because then it's a backup plan, and that gives the jury something versus one or the other. It's a gamble. So now, I understand why they said no. Like, I truly do, because at this point they could have just said, they could have divided the room, and they could have argued, well, if half of you are divided, then let's talk about it, and let's, try to convince the room that's half divided to go with the acquittal. Where now having the room divided in 3 portions is going to be a lot more difficult to, convince. But so the defense argued that, but the judge denied their argument and said it's staying on the ballot, or however that works. But they didn't even use it. But I still think they still stayed under the middle and 35. And I think 17 years shows, he on good behavior and all of that. And who knows what can change even in the 17 years. Maybe that can be cut down even more. Who knows?
After he was sentenced and taken into custody, I saw that there was a mugshot of Karmelo Anthony that came out. And I noticed that, originally he had fairly long hair. And in I guess I want to say the second mugshot that I seen, he had shaved his head. And then right after the verdict was read, there was another photo that came out and he was practically like skin bald. I don't know if you guys have seen that. My question was, and maybe this is just standard procedure for inmates, for them to cut their hair, but I do want to show you guys a picture of the transformation of Karmelo Anthony from his first mugshot all the way to his more recent one. And this is the mugshot here. Maybe the newest one after transfer, the bald one. Yeah. So this is the photo on the right is basically his mugshot right after he was convicted and charged and sentenced for the first-degree murder case. And I think the one on the left is his initial one. So I don't know. It's definitely a major change in his look and appearance. I don't know if that's a thing for the jail. I don't know. Does anybody in the chat know?
So with the last one, I do know that this is, he was transferred. I can't remember the name of it, but I do have a link to it, but it's on my other phone, so I can send it after or in a few minutes. But I know where he was transferred to and the exact part of the jail where he was transferred to, and I can show you that in a few minutes. But also, once he's transferred there, before he's, the intake, I guess, is like, this is where they strip them down, hose them down, shave them completely, shake lice powder down on them, do the cavity search. I mean, that's it. Like, this is where he's just in the line. He is just a number at this point. And that's why he has everything shaved, because they have to bring in, a clean inmate, so the other inmates aren't, jeopardized by the intake.
So Chloe said usually it's the facility that require it. So I guess this is just standard procedure, but I mean, he does, he does have a really, it's a change in his appearance. I'm very indifferent in his appearance, but it is what it is. If that's standard procedure, then that's standard procedure. I do want to go to a video of Austin Metcalf's father. He did have an interview, and I do want to say this was uploaded 23 hours ago. So let me go ahead and share this really quick.
Okay.
This is a video from CBS Texas. Let's go ahead and play this.
This one was done by Sarah Fields, right?
I actually haven't seen this one, so it
is, and
most likely will be
recognition for her work. So yeah, I'm just checking this.
The price.
Oops. All right, let me go play this.
For his conviction, Austin Metcalf's father tonight is talking only with our JD Miles about the price that his family is paying.
Because a lie is temporary, but the truth lasts forever.
Jeff Metcalf finally had a chance to read the words he's been writing in a notebook to address his son's killer.
You said people think that grief is sadness, but it's not. It's rage.
Oh.
Pure, unfiltered rage. You failed yourself. You failed your parents. You failed society. You don't belong in this community.
That's correct.
Metcalf's victim impact statement came at the end of Karmelo Anthony's murder trial. For months, the father of Austin Metcalf has been silenced by a gag order imposed by the judge. Now he's free to speak publicly and says he's also free of something else.
When I woke up this morning, it was a very different feeling. When I woke up, I felt like 1,000,000 pounds had been lifted off my shoulders. Because I used to wake up every morning with this anxiety, with this feeling of dread. And this morning was the first day I woke up with a feeling of peace, comfort, tranquility that I haven't experienced in 14 months. And I felt Austin.
Metcalf was in court every day of Anthony's trial. The 19-year-old, now convicted murderer, not only took his son Austin's life, he did it right in front of Austin's twin brother, Hunter.
What killed me was the body cam footage when I could hear Hunter screaming. Oh God, my brother, my twin. You know, as a parent, you always want to protect your kids. And to hear my son and the fear in his voice, and I'm not there to fix it.
What was it like sitting in that courtroom with Karmelo Anthony for 5 or 6 days?
Challenging is the first word that comes to my mind. And I'll even say this. I had a little bit of sorrow because I'm human. And that poor boy is fixing to experience a life that I would not wish upon anyone.
Metcalf says even today he's received death threats and has previously endured doxing of his personal information and multiple swatting calls to his house from people who he says have tried to villainize Austin and the family.
I would hope they take a look in the mirror. And if you have children, and if it was your child who was murdered, would you like people dragging his name through the mud, making memes, making jokes, and just really vile comments?
Where do you and the Metcalf family go from here?
Well, I mean, this is day one of a long healing process. Because honestly, it's been impossible to start healing until this trial was complete.
The trial may be over, but the racial polarization among Americans on display outside the Collin County Courthouse continues.
Look at the effect, not just the effect here between the Metcalf family and the Anthony family. Look what it did, one, to those kids they have to live with. Two, it took on this huge, wider, let's have a race war throughout the nation.
Metcalf insists that his son had no racist motives when he approached Anthony about leaving a track team tent.
This case was never about race.
There's going to be those people now that just, try to throw shade on the whole trial with the jury makeup and the speed of it and that sort of thing. I mean,
well, those are the same people that said he was jumped by 4 people. His phone was broken. You're going to spin whatever story to try to keep yourself afloat.
Metcalf believes Anthony should have received a life sentence. He says if Anthony...
Sorry about that. That's rude. Sorry.
...is up for parole in 17 years, he will be there in some form to argue against it.
If I'm still alive, yes, I will be there in person. If not, I am going to make a video, if I'm passed on, that can be played.
There are no walls in Metcalf's home without photos or paintings of Austin and his twin. These images and a scholarship in his son's name are what remain for this father, who says he's ready to finally forgive, but not forget.
But people need to understand about forgiveness. Forgiveness was not for him. Forgiveness was for me, so I don't carry the rage, the hate, and that around. It will eat me up like cancer.
J.D. Miles, CBS News, Texas.
Thoughts?
It's just sad. I mean, so many people have turned that interview around and said that he, was aggressive and mean, and I didn't hear anything. I mean, it shows he has sorrow for, both sides, and he cares, and it's unfortunate, and he said how he's been having threats and they've doxed him, and this is true. Just a few hours ago, there's posts of them coming after the mother of the victim, and I saw the comments, and they are legit threats, and they're saying they're going to find them, and these threats are printed, and it says things like, we're going to put you in the ground right next to your son, and things like that, and your other son is next, and things like that. I mean, they're legit, and I heard them myself. I verbally heard them when I was there on location, and it's scary. I mean, I don't know. It shouldn't have led to all of this. It's not what it's supposed to. It's just not where it should have led. Why is the family receiving death threats and saying that their other son is going to receive the same treatment, and not only that, but yesterday, things were said to the family like they should have taken both of your sons at the same time. Like, what? Why? So, I mean, the message there is terrible.
Absolutely. And the strange part as well is that even on the other side, right, the family of Karmelo Anthony, I believe I heard as well earlier today that they're also receiving death threats too. And I think that they did an interview earlier today with the Breakfast Club, and I do have some footage from there, which we'll pull up and we'll talk about really quick. I want to see where. Let me get the timestamp. So we'll start off with this part in the very beginning, because it talks about like how they're doing. But let me go ahead and share this as well. And so this is an interview that Karmelo Anthony's mother and father did earlier today. And this is their first interview after the 35-year sentence. So let's have a listen.
Sad too. I watched this.
Thank you so much for joining me this morning. How are you guys holding up?
I mean, right now we're in a nightmare. Doesn't feel real. We've been up all night praying, waiting for family to come in. We have some family who has made it. We just right now lost words, waiting for him to give us a call as soon as possible.
So you haven't heard from him just yet?
We heard from him yesterday. He actually suffered from seizures, so we actually have to bring his medicine to the courthouse. So we're waiting for him to give us instruction to get there.
We know Karmelo from the courtroom, but tell us, who is he? What kind of person is he? What kind of son is he at home?
He is a wonderful son. He's a wonderful student.
3.7 GPA, worked 2 jobs.
I'm sorry, baby, for cutting you off. He was actually taking online classes during all of this and still held a great GPA going through this traumatic time.
He was a kid.
I can't hear you.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Rookie mistake. What I was saying is that even as the brightest of the brightest students, they can still make life-changing mistakes, right? And this was one that really, it was a huge mistake, which resulted in him being charged with first-degree murder, 35 years
Right.
in prison,
Right.
right?
And I agree it was a mistake. Like there's so many people that want to say it was premeditated and all that. I don't agree with any of that. Like, I don't, I do feel it was a mistake. And, but it's an unfortunate mistake and lessons need to be learned.
And First Liberties podcast said, good people make bad decisions. Lots of people take human life while driving carelessly, and many of them probably didn't expect to hit anyone. And that's absolutely true, right?
Right.
Things like those accidents happen every day.
Right.
And then Coco Mom in the chat also said, but Austin's mother has to visit his grave while Karmelo's family can visit him in prison. Right. And that's the one thing that the Metcalf family will never be able to get back, right? They'll never be able to spend another Christmas with their son.
Right. And if Karmelo does have the opportunity to be paroled in 17 years, that puts him at 36 years old. I mean, in this day and age, that's 36 is the new 26. That's when people just start settling down and having families. So like there's still a lot of life potential for this child at this point, but he will be an adult at that point. But there is still a huge amount to be lived, and and that's still there. They can have grandkids. They can walk him, see him walk down the aisle. All of that is still a possibility. That has not been taken at all.
Absolutely. And I don't know, this is all just a really tragic incident take place, and unfortunately it's come down to it becoming a racial thing, right? And I don't know, it just sucks that it has to come down to that, as opposed to seeing the difference between right and wrong, right? I wish we could just take the race out of all of this and just see it for the crime that was committed. But unfortunately, we're in a time where we as humans just can't look past that. And it's just unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. So somebody said, listen to the rest of the interview. It gets worse, but I don't think we need to victimize you can do whatever you want. It's your channel, but there's no reason to put them on blast if it makes them look bad. But
I do want to listen to a few minutes of this, because there are a few things that I do think we should hear.
Okay.
But they do talk about the public backlash that they received, how the media is trying to spin the narrative. So I think it's fair to listen to. So let's go ahead and continue.
My father said it was a captain of a track team, football team. He was working 2 jobs. He actually saved the kid's life. That the mom, he jumped in the pool, and saved the kid's life, which was amazing. I didn't know how great he was until this tragic.
He I want to add some things to that. At home, he loves cooking, whether it's in the kitchen, outside, grilling. He makes the best hibachi. He loves running routes and playing soccer with his younger brother Kingston. He has a brother named Andrew. He's 12, and Andrew is into doing science experiments, and Karmelo loved helping him with science experiments. He loves putting Legos together with his girlfriend. He's just a lovable, sincere child.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the world, just going through this trial, got an accurate description of who Karmelo really is?
No.
Here's where they're going to talk about Karmelo, and I don't want to just dismiss anything that they have to say, but there are other parts of this video that I do want us to to take a look at. And this part right here is about the media narrative and the racial angle. So let's just go ahead and jump to that really quick.
Then once we found out and got, he went to his bond hearing. The next day, somebody doxed us.
So I know, Alina, earlier you had mentioned that the Metcalf family was doxxed, right? And they were being threatened. And here in this video, the Anthony family is also saying that they've experienced the same thing. So,
right.
I don't want to say her name, but a lady started making this. They try to blame it on one person, not making them about race. But you had this lady that went on to talk about white lives and all this other stuff, and now it went boom. The race card started about that's how Jake Lane and all these other guys got involved in this. But at the end of the day, this was a kid situation that a lot of adults made it about their personal, well, how they really wanted to feel. This is the time they wanted to show on this is how we really feel about y'all. And they used my son, for example.
What did Karmelo tell you happened that day at the track meet?
I mean, he was sitting there seeing his friend. Once you get the reports and everything, he was actually his girlfriend's cousin invited him to the tent. So when they invited him to the tent, it was just, hey, what's going on, such and such. It was raining. He sat there. Then next you know it, you had these two guys who approached him. Even seeing the video in court, it was like, I know y'all see this. I know y'all see this. And we got comfortable with the instructions that we was told. We was told not to say nothing. We was told not to do this. So we did everything we did. We followed all instructions that we were told. Hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Hey, don't talk to this person. Don't talk to this person. It was all this. And look what happened to my son.
It sounds like you wish you had.
But again, their son is still alive, and Austin Metcalf is the one who lost his life, right? He's the one who will never be able to come back, spend another day with his family. I want to jump ahead to
But can I just ask, what instructions is he referring to? He's saying we were given all these instructions and we followed them. Do you know what he?
I don't. That part I don't know. Chloe, you happen to know by any chance what he's referring to as being given instructions?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Let me see. Let me jump to, I want to say 20 minutes. And do me a favor, guys, if you guys are still here hanging out in the chat, do me a favor, hit that like button. And if you guys haven't already, subscribe. We just want to reach a wider audience. So if you guys can do me that favor, I'm not asking for any super chats or anything. Just do me a favor, hit that like button. And I want to thank everybody who's here with us still. So thank you guys.
I talked more, that you had said more, that you had got your story out more.
I call myself sometimes you could do the right thing, but it could be the wrong thing.
Did Karmelo want to get his story out more to the public as well?
He was trying to listen. He was trying to listen to what he was being advised. Hey, don't make it about race. Don't do this. Don't do this. So we was like, all right, we go again. We played the game they wanted. We did everything a law-abiding citizen supposed to. They told us don't do this. We did everything we supposed to. And he wanted people, of course he wanted somebody. They got pictures of him being 17 with a dress on, saying he could be raped in jail. Like all kinds of these adults are talking about this child, but nobody's seeing it. So we can't say anything. The other family, they go paint this lie that nobody still have exposed, that he died in his brother's arms. And it was all
that's not true, because that is the narrative. Yeah.
No, you never heard it no more. That was a lie. You heard about a bag. You never heard about a bag since trial. That's what I was telling people. A lie is temporary, but the truth lasts forever. It's just now.
Wait, so are they saying that Austin never died in Hunter's arms?
Apparently. I mean, I don't know. What's this bag?
I'm assuming this is the bag that that Karmelo had his hand in right before he pulled out the knife. And so,
Where did the knife come from? He just had it?
and so it sounds like the father is saying that there was never a bag. So very, and this is completely different from what we've heard, right?
This is very different.
The
Yeah.
testimony saying that Karmelo had a bag on him or a backpack and had his hand inside the bag and was telling, Austin and everybody else, basically touch me and see what happens.
Right.
So very odd that the father saying that there is no bag.
Well, Coco Mom 21 just made a good point, or 2021. So why didn't your son take the stand?
I think if he would have taken the stand, to be honest with you, that could ruin his chances for any kind of appeal. So, I mean, if the defense was smart and their goal is to appeal, because I did hear that they're planning to appeal this. They're planning to appeal the decision.
Well, they did already.
They did, right?
Yeah, they did. They appealed it. I think there's already been 2 appeals actually, but yeah, there was appeal first thing today. And then when I saw the second update, that's when, because the first appeal, or the first time I saw the appeal go through, a lawyer wasn't listed yet. But then maybe they just updated it the second time, and that's when I saw the lawyer listed. I think I sent that to you, or I sent that to Chloe. I don't remember. Maybe they can send that to you. But yeah, then there was
a screenshot you emailed me, right?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll show that I'll show that shortly. Let's just listen to a few more minutes of this.
It's like harder now. I got to fight to get the truth out. He basically had to get the book thrown at him. 35 years in this county that basically, I honestly feel as though that they manipulated us with a smile. They act as if they cared, but they really didn't. When they win the jury selection, we seen all the people with the jury selection. I was like, baby, this is not right. But my wife is the type of person. I'm not gonna just say us. We're both the type. We try to be positive. Hey, we're not gonna look at it. That's not what it is. That's not us. But that's what it was.
So even when you noticed there were no black
I'm gonna let's hear what they have to say about the jury.
jurors, it gave you pause. It made you want to say something, but you were still going along with the process.
Yeah, I was going on with the process because there's a lot of times, and I hope this don't be controversial, but that's the first thing they do is they try to say we're emotional. We don't follow instructions, right? So we did everything that we was advised and told to do, and look what happened.
So who was they? You said that they told you. Who was they? Was it your defense attorney?
Yeah. So we were because by him being 18, so what they did was they kind of played everybody against everybody, if you could say. I'm not going to say they played us against each other, but it's almost they had him scared, like, hey, this, I'm a lawyer, this. So as me being a father, all right, you're the guy, I'm okay with playing my position, and I don't want to overstep any boundaries. Everybody kept saying, hey, to beat this. I even went to some black attorneys. They're like, oh, you need a white attorney to go out there to fight out there. Remember they were telling us that? They kept telling us that. So everybody like, why y'all didn't? Everybody was telling us, okay. So then when we get it, they basically tossed them over. A lot of objections wasn't done. It's a lot that wasn't done.
So do you believe your son received a fair trial?
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. And we're going to keep fighting. We will not stop fighting for justice for my son.
Okay, so here at the 25-minute mark is where they talk about their appeal process. So let's listen to what they have to say. We're going to jump over to this.
And then the confrontation. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you talk to your defense attorney about any of these concerns that you had as the trial was playing out, or even now that the trial is over?
100%. I mean, I'm actually praying that somebody sending somebody that we get sent somebody that can help us. It's kind of like I'm still right now in shock, so I'm just moving on and drilling right now. Like
So
I
you're
said,
looking for a new defense attorney for future appeal process.
Yes.
yeah.
And did your defense attorney say anything about how he feels or they feel the case went?
I'm going to say they gave us the corporate answer.
Mm.
They gave us the corporate answer, you know.
And did Karmelo want to testify in his own on his own behalf and was
Survive. It was based on everything. It didn't need nothing because everything they said when it's self-defense, they have to prove it. They never proved it.
okay. So that was never that was because I know there was this pause and a lot of people thought that we were going to come back and he was going to take the stand and he didn't. So that was never an option. That had never been discussed of him taking the stand.
That's why we just need a new. We need somebody.
I think we all would have wanted to hear him, right? But I mean, obviously, a good defense team wouldn't allow anyone to take the stand, especially if their goal was to try to appeal this, because I feel like the moment that he goes onto that stand, people are just gonna pick him apart.
Yeah, but then it's curious to me why those discussions occurred on Monday. Like that was obviously they had some sort of plan, right? If they even asked for that, possibility, because this was the defense's time, and they asked, it was tossed around for him to go up, and they also were questioning to have Hunter testify for the defense, which is not unheard of, because there can be witnesses from both sides. It's just a method of questioning that they choose to do to a witness that seems to be more for the state, but the defense uses them. That's it's like a mind, they just screw with the mind there. But Close says it's ultimately his decision. His attorneys definitely spoke to him about it. They can advise him not to, but ultimately completely his decision. So my question is it typical that, Chloe, they would question him that day and not have this discussion prior? Like why did it come in the, at the very last moment? Like that's
a great question. I also heard, and maybe you know more about this because this is just something that I kind of heard in passing, but there were supposed to be something around like 20 witnesses lined up for the defense. And when it came down to it, everybody had kind of like backed out, or these supposed witnesses disappeared. Did you hear anything about that?
Well, so
maybe my terminology is incorrect, but
no, I think you're on the right thought process. So I was kind of questioning that too, but so what I understood, and this number has changed in the media, but I always go with the first information that I get, and I kind of stick with that until I get factual information. But from what I understood in the beginning, I heard there was 21 witnesses on the state side, but on, when they go up, from what I understand, the defense gets to kind of, have some questions like in a rebuttal or maybe. And at that point, some of those witnesses were the same that the defense would have used as well. And so, and maybe some of the questions that the state had asked, the defense kind of had on their question sheets. So at the end, they're like, you know what, they ended up using the same witnesses that we were going to use, and they ended up saying the same stuff that we were going to ask. So it's moot at this point, and we're going to look like we're just repeating ourselves. There's no point. And so it just kind of, they weren't going to repeat the same process, and they just pulled the ones that they needed to stand out for their testimony, which, included their bombshell one, which kind of, ended up firing back on them. And then because they questioned the Karmelo and Hunter testimony, I feel that maybe they were on the sheet, like who will potentially go up. But then it was decided at the end that they are not going to go. So, but those names I feel were originally on the list from how I understand it. If somebody is going to testify or potentially will, they have to be on a list originally. So
Yeah.
they had to have been prepared in some aspect.
And I know that Hunter wasn't there for the entirety of the trial until I want to say the verdict was read, or
I think
closing statements.
Yeah, from what I've heard, they okay, so Chloe said Hunter was on the defense list, which why he wasn't in court. I think he was there for other parts, but he left because of how he didn't want to see the pictures, he didn't want to hear the screams. But I don't know at what point of how that works in the courts. Again, because it was closed, we just don't have a lot of information. But maybe he wasn't there at all because of what Chloe just said. So
Chloe said the prosecutor told Hunter he didn't need his testimony to get a conviction. Thank you for that, Chloe. And shout out to Coco Mom for your $30 Cash App donation. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, Coco Mom, and your 10 gifted memberships from earlier. So I want to make sure that we thank you for that because you did gift us 10 memberships. So if you received the gifted membership from Coco Mom, please make sure you thank them in the chat. I saw somebody come in here earlier. I think it was Cool and Chris that said, thank you, Coco Mom. So thank you for your gifted membership.
thank you. It was really nice.
So, I don't know. I think this is nowhere close to being over because I don't know.
No, and I just hope that, we can get some, like they have a lot of people, speaking, and they have, their supporters, and then the Metcalf family has their speakers and supporters. I'm hoping maybe there's somebody in the middle that can maybe bring their, the people that are representing them maybe together somewhere at a quiet meeting and be like, what can we do, for the society, for this nation to stop this chaos and this war over this tragedy, because it shouldn't be, a war against, all races in the country and in our world right now because of this. We can turn this into a learning experience of let's make this into something good. Let's help the communities. Let's help these children. Let's teach these children. If there's a bullying issue, let's start a bullying campaign. If there's, a issue where, children feel victimized, and let's start a campaign to help that, whatever it is. That just doesn't have to be negative like this. There's other options. Like there can be a resolve here. It doesn't have to go so, into such a hostile situation.
As you're mentioning that, I couldn't help but think about what I heard about the family, the Anthony family raising money, and I heard the figure somewhere around like $600,000 that they raised. And there were reports that the Anthony family purchased a nice big home. They bought
Well, I just want to say one thing on that. That's what the perception is for a lot of the public. And I do want to say that, again, because I'm local, I am almost positive it's a rental. It's not, they didn't purchase it, because I've seen the house. They could not purchase that house with the $600,000 and then purchase all the other things that have been named in these accusations, which we have no receipts. We're not paying their bills. And until we don't have a right to speak on their monies. But I also am very familiar with how things cost over here and where they, that community, and they did not, but unless they had money to, already money, and it would have to equal at least 3 times that amount to live the life that they are, being accused of living. It has to have been a rental or something like that. But, people need to calm down with these narratives that they're pushing until they have, you know, an actual bank statement from this family and can prove it, because otherwise just, you know, get out of their personal lives. You know, it's somewhere $3,000 a month for that house.
Yeah, I saw a tweet earlier today. I forgot to copy it, but I did see somebody posted photos of the house, and then somewhere in the thread said that the home was rented, because it was already off of the market for some time before that. But I mean, we don't have the facts.
$1,000 a month, and somebody gave that to them on a really good deal. A house like that is minimum between like a minimum $4,000 to $4,500 and maximum $6,000 in this area.
Hmm.
And then you got to go, that's just rent. And then there's utilities for a house like that. I mean, I lived in a house like that just a year ago. I lost it because of being online and harassed by communities, you know, the online communities. And utilities in a house like that are several $1,000s a month. So you have to have a constant, you know, income flooding in to live that lifestyle. And everything that they're being accused of having and living off of, that sum of money cannot sustain all of that. And then remember, wasn't that money for their legal counsel?
That's what I read.
Right. So then we have to add that in there too. I mean, I don't know. Again, nobody's paying my bill, so I'm not paying theirs. They're not paying mine. It's none of my business. But I do know that it was pulled, and there's other platforms that have been started and stopped and started and stopped, and you know, and that's not the only method of fundraising that's been going on for the family. When I was outside, right when the verdict was announced publicly, their spokesperson came out and made a announcement, or you know, made a statement that's been all over the news, and they mentioned something how they immediately, for their foundation, right as the verdict was read, they got a $10,000 donation just like that. So there's different areas where money has been allocated and sent off for to help this case, this cause, this family. And you know, I don't know if the same is going on for the victim's family. I really don't. And honestly, I try to stay out of the money part of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, Alina, is there anything else you want to touch on before we kind of wrap this thing up? I know it sounds like we have an appeal that's pending. So this is something that we're obviously going to follow closely. And hopefully once some of the court transcripts come out, we can, you know, come back and revisit this topic and talk about it.
Abraham, I can't pronounce the last name, asked if Karmelo was defended by a public defender or private. At first, it was a public defender. I'm not sure if the public defender was Billy Clark and Kim T. Cole, but I know that's who he was represented by early on. But his lawyers for when this trial went to court was Mike Howard and Toby Shook. I'm sure Toby was really shook. But then the prosecution was led by Collin County's first district attorney, Bill Werski, and I believe he had Greg Willis and Dewey Mitchell as well. So that's who was in the court. Oh, and then the judge, I had his name down here somewhere too. It was like John, hold on. Oh, John Roach Jr. And then that was another thing that was spoken about in the parking lot all the time. How this is his last case. And a lot of, you know, the chatter was that that the decision was an emotional decision based on this being his last case, and he wants to go out with a bang, and it's going to be guilty no matter what, because this judge doesn't want to finish his career on a not guilty verdict. And it's like that's just not how judges operate. Like, you know, I follow a lot of cases. I've worked on cases. I've attended trials and hearings. judges just, if they've had a long career, they're not gonna just finish it just on like some false pretense,
Yeah.
So that I just didn't agree with that either. And it wasn't his decision. It was in the jurors' hands.
Chloe says he was defended by taxpayer dollars throughout. That judge still has another 6 months, and he did an interview just today.
Ooh, I didn't catch that.
Chloe, if you can find the link for that, send it over. Maybe we can take a look at it. Coco Mom just gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much again, Coco Mom, for gifting 10 memberships. If you received a membership from Coco Mom, please make sure you thank them in the chat. Jad also sent some floating hearts, so thank you for that, Jad. And then do me a favor, you guys. If you guys haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to Alina's channel at Crime Scene Collective, you guys. We're trying to help her build her subs up on YouTube.
Thank you. Yes, I am.
Have you had an opportunity to possibly get your channel monetized?
No, nothing at all. I have like 500 subscribers. I try to do a lot on TikTok, and then but because of how everybody protested right after the verdict and everything, I got restricted. So I lost a lot of the videos that I had on there. So I'm waiting for to make sure the appeal goes through, and then I'm downloading those, and then I'm going to be able to push them over onto YouTube to show like how, because I just was streaming for like hours and hours. So it's like 6 hours or 8 hours one day, and then another 8 hours another day. But I'm going to try to put that up on YouTube to show like how it was throughout the day. Because it's just, it really was just like, it'd be like this calm, and then you can just see, people moving up to the front. And I was right up front. And that's when you know that something's stirring inside, or I watch the stairs and see who's walking in and out, and everybody has a badge. If you can enter the courtroom, you have a certain color badge. Every day was a different color. So if I see like one person come out with a badge on, then I know that court has adjourned or there's a recess, and everybody plays off of that and starts coming to the front. And, there was threats made on certain journalists and reporters. And, there was one that had a certain journalist that had to be escorted out. She was the only one by the police every day because, there was a certain group of supporters that were waiting for her at her car, I mean, it was a lot. It was different, and there was one video I sent you of, it's kind of, I don't know if you could really tell what's happening, but there's just all these people and police officers. And because on the final day, there was like SWAT vehicles, state troopers, local police, every police force that they get was there. And there was this white Toyota that just kept circling around and harassing everybody from his car, from his driver's seat. And
was it this video right here?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's that white truck right there. It's a Toyota, I think. Or maybe the truck's already up, I'm not sure. But and he would just drive around and honestly just get everybody going. And finally, people were like telling the cops, like, do something about this. Like, we're all calm. Everyone's getting along. People, were playing rock, paper, scissors, hanging out, we're praying with there's like a church group there. We had music playing. There's a group that was giving out hugs, and, everyone's being nice. And then this guy is driving around in his American flag shirt and just causing shit. Honestly, I hate to swear, but with everybody. And so finally they're like, get him out of here. Everything has been fine until he starts driving around to everybody and causing all this crap. And so the cops went to him and they're telling him to leave. So right where he is up there, that's
the right here, right?
Yeah.
This person in the white truck?
Yeah, that's the guy in the white truck. And he's the one with the American flag shirt on. So he needed to turn right to leave. And the cops are telling him, they're going, go, you need to go. And right as he's about to turn right to leave, this jerk ends up going straight and parks his truck somewhere. But then there was more chaos that happened right behind him. So the cops all had to go to the chaos behind him and missed where he parked. And this guy got out of the truck and then started going individually to people. But within like minutes here, like within not even 5 minutes is when we got the public information on what the verdict was. And so everybody went to the front. That must have been like where the cops ran off to. And so this is one of the main videos that has been circulating online is, you know, there's two people with barricades and there's a white guy with an American flag shirt on and there's this black guy and him and they're arguing and then they start jumping. And so the black guy's name is Jerome Winston. Yeah, right here.
This video right here.
Yeah. So that's the guy in the white truck that was causing all the stirring the whole parking lot up. And then he wouldn't stop. And he was going around to everybody. Even after this video, he continued to keep walking around and causing problems with everybody. It was him that was causing the problems. And I witnessed it myself.
Well, and that's, I mean, that's not something that you're hearing publicly on social media, right? So, I mean,
that's why I wanted to show people because I can prove it. I have the video of it and I watched it because what a lot of people aren't telling is what he was doing prior to this. Now he was driving around, rousing everybody up, causing issues before this happened. He was the problem. People were calm and quiet. Like that's Winston. He was nice. He was riding around on his skateboard. He was, you know, coming up to us playing rock, paper, scissors. He was, you know, we prayed together. We hung out. We were joking around. Like he wasn't an aggressor up until he got aggressed by this guy who wouldn't stop.
So let's go ahead and watch this video and, you know, get some of the context that Alina was talking about.
I'm dancing. You ain't gonna do shit. I'm dancing.
There's barricades either. So at their like down, you know, below their belt line, like a little lower, there's barricades in between them that nobody's showing either. So like for them to like actually be, you know, tip to tip here, they have to go through the barricades and that there's barricades that are held down by sandbags and all that. So
wow.
I'm dancing, you ain't gonna do shit. 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 I'm dancing, you ain't gonna do shit.
So
wow.
At this point, the courthouse is right behind this man with the American flag, right? And all of the SWAT, the state troopers, the local police, they all lined in a straight line behind where this was occurring and in front of the steps, they made a line. And all these other people, like even the guy in the pink shirt there, he would turn over to the cops and he'd be like, and you guys aren't going to do anything? Like, look at this. You guys aren't, like, everybody kept turning to the police and saying, you guys, and I was like two people behind the guy with the American shirt on. And so I could see the cops' reactions and they weren't. And then they finally walked up after he did when he went like that. And the cops walked up and they just went, Winston, cut it out. And that's it. Like they kind of just reprimanded him like he was a child. And they were like, Winston, cut it out. You know, and the guy in the pink shirt, he was just like, that's it. That's all you're going to do. Like, this is not good. This is going to lead to something more horrible. And so when I was saying the only time I felt really unsafe was during this time. And it's not that I felt safe like that violence was going to come to me. I just thought that a bunch of people were going to come running in because there was this one woman that they called her the witchcraft lady. And right at this moment, she came in right next to me. Like she even said, excuse me, and made me move. And so she can come right up front. And she started to do her, because she goes like, woo, 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 woo. And she started to do that and putting her hands up and jumping up and down and doing her like witchcraft stuff. And when that happened, I felt more people come. And I have a really bad back. So I was like, somebody's going to hit my back. So I was like, I'm out. And I went back around to where the trees were there. And I just stood there and watched it. But that's it. And he was the instigator. And then after that, I watched him instigate probably 3 to 4 more times before I left. And then I could see videos after that and I could see him still doing it to people. So,
so there's more videos of him doing that.
Oh yeah. You can see little clips of him always like standing here and just, you know, trying to act like he's this older, calm man. No, you could see him talking, like saying stuff here and there. but, you know, because he gets this, you know, loud reaction, everybody's cameras pan to the loud reaction and makes, you know, Karmelo's supporters look terrible, where
Yeah.
I can attest it was this guy getting them going. And I have evidence of that. And it's on one of my videos that I'm trying to upload back to, because this is what got me restricted and suspended, because I showed the row of cops and it said I was brandishing weapons, but I was showing how the cops have all the weapons, you know. So
I mean, so as you guys can see, the tension is just, you know, kind of raised immediately after the verdict was read. There were tons of crowds just kind of gathered outside of the courthouse. Obviously, emotional reactions from both sides, whether they're supporters of Karmelo Anthony or supporters of Austin Metcalf. I do want to show you guys another video as well as some of the interactions that took place outside of the courthouse. And it looks like, I don't know who this person is, but, you know, let me just show this to you guys, because this one, I don't know. This one was a little upsetting to watch too, but here.
All right, so I've heard a lot about justice for Karmelo, right? Yeah.
Justice for Karmelo. I would have stabbed that nigga. Why he don't go? Hey, I would have did it to him.
So here you can hear him saying, I would have stabbed him too. Let me just go ahead and rewind that for you guys.
Yeah.
Justice for Karmelo. I would have stabbed that nigga too. Why he don't go?
Why?
Hey, I would have did it to him. I promise I would have. I would have did it to him.
But why?
I would have did it to him and his brother.
Okay, but for what reason?
Let me tell you why.
Yeah.
Them little boys came looking for trouble.
Okay.
When you come looking for trouble, you don't know what fucking outcome going.
Sure.
You don't know what outcome. You
Okay.
rob a bank. You don't know if you're gonna get the money.
Wait, somebody robbed a bank?
Hold on. Listen, real quick.
Man, you want to
Listen,
play dumb,
listen,
man.
listen.
Don't give
No,
me
no,
no
I'm trying
time.
to-
No.
No, I want to hear. Yeah. Let's talk about it. All right.
You can record it, motherfucker.
Yeah. No, I want to
You rob a
get
bank,
insight,
right?
right?
You rob a
Yeah.
bank, right? You might get the money. You might
Okay.
go to jail. You might be dead, right?
Right.
You fuck with the wrong motherfucker. It's the
Okay.
same way. Them boys were looking for trouble. You know what
Okay.
happened? He got stabbed and he died because he
Okay.
went looking for trouble. That's self-defense, motherfucker. So
All right.
if you can't see that between your fucking little ass brain, motherfucker,
All right.
do I have to tell you? I have to whisper it to you?
So
You want me to whisper it to you?
no, I just
You want me to whisper it to you, motherfucker?
you can talk in.
You want me to whisper it to you?
Well, you're yelling
All
right
right,
now.
then, bitch.
You know, you're.
Play with somebody else, nigga. I'm a real gangster. Play with somebody else. I will fuck you up.
I'm just trying to get like some insight into the situation. There we have it, guys. From a real gangster.
I don't know. I feel like whoever this person was clearly had an agenda.
yeah, and that's the goading. You know, that's the goading I'm talking about. That, and then they get, you know, and then it's like, oh, I got attacked. It's like, well, what did you do? Like, you shouldn't have gone and laughed and done all that. Like, you know that this is a very emotional, heated situation right now, and you're doing something for a reaction. But if that reaction didn't suit you, you're going to be upset about it. Like, just don't go there right now. You know, just don't. Like, and especially with that agenda. Like, if I went there with that agenda, like, can you imagine? You know?
I mean, both sides are either lucky that nothing further escalated, right? Because it could have been bad.
It did get, I mean, that Winston did end up getting arrested. A lot of, there were several arrests. There was a massive protest scheduled for yesterday with Jake Ling, and they got him off so he landed at like 12:30 yesterday from Miami to Dallas, and apparently the feds went right to his, on the airplane, on the tarmac. 12 feds went on the airplane and threw him down and arrested him and dragged him off, and his bail is $1 million for making a threat towards this case. So, and now he's in some unknown location from what I've been told. So it's like, you know, this is like spreading. It's getting, you know, worse and bigger, and who knows, you know, and just making more people angry for no reason. Like just, staying, like there's no reason for people to come in from other states to, start a protest.
Aggravate and antagonize, yeah.
Like, I get, like, if they lived over here or they had, a dog in the fight or whatever, but why are you flying in from other states to stir stuff and then upset on what the repercussions ended up being of that? Unless you're prepared for that, then okay, then you understand what you walked into.
Alina, do you know if there are any planned protests scheduled to take place in your area?
I just knew about that one from yesterday. I do know that just every day, everyone is just at the courthouse sharing their thoughts and what they would like to go further. Today there was a supporter for the Anthony family. It was a doctor, it was a woman, but her title was a doctor of something. For some reason, I want to say Pamela, Dr. Pamela something, I can't remember right now. And they were asking for donations to help them with the Anthony family to get a new counsel team together for their son. And that was their message. And there was, when I started watching it early today, there was only a few people there. And then within like an hour, it looked to be at least 30 to 40 people there. So, and that was just the one angle for that specific person. So there was different people and different crowds over there, but it's nothing as big as it was the last couple of days.
If there are, do you plan to attend any of the protests?
Depending on what the point of the protest is. Like right now, I don't have any agendas for that. I got my good fill over the last couple of days, and I just,
good enough, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if there's going to be some active, some motion to bring this together in a positive way, or some agenda and planning to make this into something positive and not fight and, keep going in a negative path. Like there's no reason for me to go. Like, I just wanted to show, my own, that my own community isn't what is being portrayed. And, at first I thought I was doing that. And then yesterday it kind of went south, but I can only do so much,
Well, I mean, we thank you for just even going there, making an attempt to just even get inside the courtroom. I heard with only 27 seats, it was really difficult to just get inside. So thank you for just going out there.
Yeah, well, the second day, Tuesday, there was a journalist that arrived at 3:15 in the morning, and she was number 20. So, wow. Yeah, and I originally was like, I'll get there at 4 and I'll be fine. So even if I would have gotten there at 4, I wouldn't have made it, So even, at that point, that's how long people waited just to get in. And then court doesn't even start until 9. I can't imagine how exhausted a lot of these reporters and journalists and family members, everybody. I mean, it is just, I can't imagine. Like it's a lot. But I was happy to be in the parking lot because it gave a different perspective, and I wanted to show the truth of, who's like how it's really happening in the events and how it moved along throughout the day.
Yeah, you definitely showed all sides, and so we definitely thank you for that. But before we let you go, Chloe did send us the video of the full interview that Judge John Roach did.
Nice.
Shortly after. I think he did this after the trial. I don't know if that was yesterday or today, but we have this interview. So let's go ahead and listen to this first.
Okay.
Your name and how you spell it.
My name is John Roach, JOHN ROACH.
Now, I know the answers to that. I know the answer to that question, but I got to ask it for the record.
100%.
You've been on the bench for some time.
Yep, I've been on the bench for about 20 years.
20 years, and this is the end.
In then 6 months, it'll be in the end.
Did you want to take on this trial?
I wanted the Collin County Judiciary to take on this trial. It was important to me to have somebody from Collin County preside over this Collin County case. So I didn't ask for it. No one, that's not how it works anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for it, but I was certainly willing to do it because that was my duty.
In your conversations with, my guess it's an administrative judge who goes, I know they go down the list and they say, all right, it's your turn and it's your turn. As they go through all the conflicts of judges that may, potential conflicts, when they come and say, John, this may be yours, your first reaction is?
I'll take it. Every time. I think it's my job. It's my duty. That's what I was elected to do.
Yeah.
That's the oath that I took. And I'm going to do my job.
No consultation with your family or?
None.
No.
Nope.
And where does that come from?
I don't know. I think it's just duty. I think duty, whether that's duty in the Marine Corps or just duty to my family and stuff, I take duty really seriously. And I took this job to perform that duty. And if that's what I had to do, that's what I have to do.
Did you fully at the time grasp the enormity of that decision and the outside stuff?
I don't know. I think in some ways I did. I think in other ways I didn't. I certainly knew it was very, very important case within our community. I didn't think I realized the enormity of the social media and the media during the trial.
How long have you been prepping for this trial?
I've been prepping for this trial with the departments, with the Collin County system, with the sheriff's office and everybody for about 8 months.
Is that the longest you've ever had to prep?
100%.
Why?
Logistics. One of the critical pieces of this case where we had minors who were testifying. Prior to me getting the case, we had some of those witnesses doxxed and swatted and revealed on social media. I didn't want that to add to the already traumatic event they've been through. And I didn't want them to change their testimony or be uncooperative with people trying to call them as witness out of fear. And so my number one duty at that point in time getting the case was to how do we protect those minors who are critical to this case to come and testify.
I'm sure you've already read and know that one of your fellow judges has already been doxxed and swatted and all the things.
I did know that.
And still no reluctance from wanting to take it on.
None.
Yeah. The decision to not have cameras or any kind of streaming.
I want to hear this. I want to hear this because this has been one of the bigger topics of conversation regarding the transparency of this case, and one of the speculations as to how this has become so racially motivated. And one of those things is them barring cameras from the courtroom. So I do want to hear his take on this.
Yes, it was an easy decision. And I'll tell you why. My primary goal in any case is to make sure that the defendant and the prosecution gets a fair trial, period. I have seen from other cases around the country where cameras in the courtroom changed the way that the judge acted, the lawyers acted, some of the witnesses acted, and we were not going to have that here. We were going to really isolate the purpose for which we were here for, which is to have that fair trial, and cameras in the courtroom did not enter into that equation at all.
How much grief did you get from people around you about that decision?
I don't know. I don't listen to it. I just flat don't listen to what's going on the outside. I do what I think is right, no matter what decision that is. And I sleep well at night knowing if I follow the law, then everything works out like it's supposed to. And so these outside influences, all the noise from the outside, I really isolated myself from that in this case and in all cases, and just do my job, do the best I can following the law.
I want to ask everybody in the chat how they feel about that and not having cameras in the courtroom. You know, a lot of people are saying, you know, for the sake of transparency and for everybody to kind of understand the different takes of each side and each family, it would have been a good idea to have this trial streamed. So I want to know what everybody in the chat thinks. And Alina, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, of course, I agree 100%. I mean, this takes away from, like you said, the transparency, the honesty, the firsthand knowledge of it. And it gives, it holds honesty like it just kind of holds back that honesty that we hope to have, and especially a situation like this, which could kind of keep things not so, you know, chaotic too. Like if you know, if the perception to the public was that things are in fact very fair inside the courtroom, maybe there wouldn't be so much tension outside of the courtroom as to what the heck is going on over there, you know? So I think that also added to a lot of, you know, what we saw outside of the courtroom on both sides of this case, with both sides of the families too, on not knowing what's happening and having to, you know, keep a certain level of, you know, their faces, you know, kind of like I don't know if the right word, but like, you know, they couldn't share how they were feeling exactly because there was the limited gag order, the not an open court, you know, information was coming out second and third hand, and maybe the expression on their face would contradict that. Like there was just so much, and they shouldn't have to, right? They just would have had an open court.
First Liberties podcast said that's exactly the way it should be across the U.S. Court is not entertainment, and people are turning it into a reality show. No cameras in any criminal or civil court. Joe, I want to let you know, it sounds like you're the only one, but I mean, that's okay. We welcome all different opinions here. Heather said, I wanted cameras. Coco Mom said, I don't like it. Cameras always. Hope says, yeah, I think not having camera just breeds misinformation.
Right. I mean, yes, we're going to get the transcripts, right? But that also entails somebody actually taking the time and reading those transcripts thoroughly, and then sharing that information factually, right? So that's the difference with, you know, the cameras in there, because we're, you know, let's face it, we're in the social media life right now. That's how we operate. We're not in the library times where transcripts would have been very, you know, what we would have gone for, and that's how we would have read them, and that's just how we would have lived life. But no, we like to visualize, you know, the information that we have in front of us, and a lot of people don't like to sit there and read it. We're going to ask AI to summarize it for us. We're going to ask, you know, some video talking to us and say what they thought of it, and that's how this information is going to get inside our brains. And again, that is not the whole picture here, is it? You know, I mean, there are going to be people that are going to read the whole transcripts, like me, and probably, hopefully you, Chloe, Heather, all of us. But there's also people that just aren't going to take the time, and they're going to skim it. They're going to pick out certain words, and they're going to be like, I saw that. I know I didn't. It's going to be like, but did you? Because there's going to be people like us that are going to say, no, that's not what it said. And there's going to be an argument and another argument, this and that. But if you had it on TV, you could have been like, no, I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Do that.
I mean, it's fortunate that we haven't had any major kind of chaos erupt since a verdict has been read. It's not to say that, you know, that it won't happen, because we don't know, you know, how the community is going to further react to this in the coming days. But also, I mean, this could have helped alleviate the tensions that happened immediately outside. And if chaos erupted and was even worse, you know, I mean, I feel like streaming the trial just could have eased that. So now we have to wait for the transcripts to come out. Somebody has to put the FOIA request in, and it's going to take some time. So who knows how long it's going to be until we really know what kind of took place in the courtroom.
And the transcripts aren't going to tell us emotions on everybody's faces when we want to know them the most. Like during certain testimony, they're not going to say, well, so-and-so's face had, you know, had a tear, or so-and-so's face winced, or so-and-so's this, or they weren't looking, or they looked down. Like that's the stuff that, you know, some people like me, I love to see body language. I love to see emotions and expressions, or lack thereof. That's the stuff that, you know, we kind of thrive on to put a story together. And that's not going to happen through transcripts, no matter what. You know, I mean, look at the pictures that we got from the artist in there. I mean, even those were were from the back, and it's just, and I get that they had to, that's just what they were allowed to do, but even that doesn't tell us much of a story either. And then I'm sure people are going to tell me it's none of my business, but it's
Here we
is
are, right?
my
Here
right,
we are.
yeah, to know what's going on in my society. So, right, like I want to know.
It makes me wonder, for a lot of the people that do follow my channel, you guys know that I've been keeping up with the Celeste Rivas Hernandez and D4VD case, and it makes me wonder if we are going to possibly get cameras inside that trial. I don't know, that's definitely going to be another huge case that we're absolutely going to follow. But yeah, cameras, in my opinion, would absolutely be a good idea.
Right?
Yeah.
So what are the cases like in LA right now? Like, is it leaning more towards open courts or more the other way? Like, how's it going thus far? Or does it just matter per case?
I think it would really depend on the judge, right? And the judge that's on, I forget the name of the judge that's on the D4VD case. I don't know if she's open to having cameras in the courtroom, but normally, I mean, these cases in California, they are public, so normally they do have cameras. But again, it would totally be up to the judge if they're going to allow it. Chloe, what do you think? You think we're going to have cameras inside the courtroom for the David case, or do you think that judge is going to be?
I think you are. I really do. I think because of location, because of the age. Well, no, that might be not because of the age. I don't know. I think 70% yes, 30% no, honestly.
What do you guys think in the chat? You guys think we're going to get cameras for the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case? What's today? Today's the 11th. I know that we have a status conference on the 17th, so that's coming up soon too. I don't know.
Has it been brought up at all? Like, who brings that up? Is it just a judge's decision, or do the lawyers bring it up like as a suggestion?
So I know that the defense on their end has brought it up, and they wanted it to be kind of like a public thing. But I think at the end of the day, so far, yeah, Goal said that so far there haven't been any cameras in the courtroom, at least for the status conference. So there was a what was it? I forget what the first court appearance. There were cameras in there, so.
Great.
I'm hoping that we'll definitely get something, so then that way we can all watch it.
I also want to talk about CrimeCon a little, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you were at CrimeCon. Let me go ahead and let me just remove this really quick. So Alina, you were at CrimeCon, what, 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
And is this your first time at CrimeCon?
No, this is my third time. The first one was in Nashville, and then last year was Denver, and then this year was in Vegas.
Okay, so they go to different locations every year.
Typically, yeah. I don't know the other locations. Honestly, I think it's been in like Florida and stuff like that. I guess like they like to stick with the Gaylord properties, but this was not at a Gaylord property. It was the Caesar's Palace, which was just ridiculous and way too much space to walk around. But Fox bought the CrimeCon industry, like the whole platform. So this was the first year with CrimeCon running under Fox Industry. So it was a lot different than it was the prior years. Not that it was bad, but it was different. The prior years, it was more personable, so it's filled with like sessions every day, and you go and you can like watch sessions with, all the journalists and reporters that we all, have known to follow and love throughout all these years of true crime, and the analysts and all that, like Nancy Grace, Vinny, Matt Murphy, everybody out there. And typically what the last few years I've experienced is you go to these sessions and they'll tell, some interesting story about a case or themselves. And it's just you gain knowledge, you gain information, this and that. And if there's some sort of plug throughout this, then it's very minor. Like you're not there to buy anything. You're not, because you're already spending so much money to be there. You're there for information to learn. And this is for victims and families. Like it's a very humble atmosphere. But for whatever reason, and maybe this is because it was bought out, but this year it just seemed like it was more, you go to these sessions and they'll talk for like 10 minutes about the case or whatever. And then the rest of it, it's plugging their stuff, like, don't forget the show's going to be, on this date and on this network, and don't forget our book, and don't forget our merchandise, and don't forget this. And again, it's on this date and this time. And it's just like repeating. And it was just disappointing because, you spend an hour and a half inside this huge room in a ballroom with, in these chairs trying to watch this, but it just ended up being like a big commercial,
Yeah.
So that was kind of the downfall of it. And then the walking was just out of control. Like it was just too much. Like I had to leave when I got picked up from the airport. I had to honestly be wheeled away in a wheelchair because I have a lot of medical issues, and it was just too much. Like they didn't think about the ages of these people and how they had up and down stairs and this and that. And you have to go like all these manipulated ways. And it was just ridiculous, like absolutely ridiculous, because Caesar's Palace had their elevators were broken, their escalators were broken, everything. A lot of the, connections, you had to actually just do stairs, and it was too much. So, but for me personally, it ended up being very successful. Like for whatever reason, my first night I was with my daughter and we went to Fremont to like rally first night, and we're sitting at this machine and there's this guy like kind of circling around, and he ends up sitting there and he wants to talk. And I love to talk, and I meet people everywhere. And for whatever reason, they just tell me their life story. And I don't know why. And I wasn't wearing any gear. I looked like I shouldn't look like at my age, but I did that night with my kid. And he starts telling me the story. He's like, well, I really messed up early in my life, and I'm just trying to, make a better life for myself and a better path. But years ago, I was on a TV show that exposed what I did, and I can't recover from that. And I was like, okay, I'm just like pressing my machine, like, okay, like, shut up, I'm not here to deal with this. And then he goes, I don't know if you know who Chris Hansen is. And I was like, you have my attention, And then he goes, I was the first person he ever busted on To Catch a Predator.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, 25 years ago, I was the very first person. And I'm like, oh my goodness, and I go, well, I'm actually going to see him. I got there on Tuesday. So this was Tuesday. And I go, I'm actually going to be in the same area with him this weekend. He's like, oh, F him. He ruined my life. I never want to see that guy again.
Oh, he ruined his life, right?
Oh yeah. He went off. Like he just started. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, I get it, And I go, but I mean, you're sitting here like telling me how you ruined your life and you had this whole path for your life and now you can't do it because of that. So if I was able to give you an opportunity and a platform to talk and tell your story on how this happened, would you like that opportunity? He's like, oh, and after so much time, he agreed, and he would like to talk, and he does want to talk to Chris Hansen. I have it recorded, like my daughter recorded it for me for 25 minutes. The guy gave me his phone number. So then when I get to CrimeCon, I go up to Chris and I'm like, I got to talk to you. I got to tell you what happened. So Chris and I, we discussed the whole thing, and him and I are going to jump on a podcast in the next couple of weeks. We're going to bring this guy on and we're going to discuss everything that happened. So that's coming up soon. So that was like the biggest highlight of it. And so that was like really awesome. I met up with Andy Kahn, who is the head of Crime Stoppers in Houston. And he's also the president of the board, the foundation for the Gonzalez Murder Has a Name, their new foundation. And he's helping me like learn more stuff about, with my foundation, Crime Scene Collective. And he's going to, help me with like training, things like that for victim advocacy. kind of, put me under his wing. So that was really amazing too. Just a lot of positives, and met a lot of people, and it was wonderful. So for me, it was amazing.
So for anybody out there, maybe anybody in the chat who's considering maybe checking out CrimeCon, who is CrimeCon for?
CrimeCon it's for, they try to make it seem like it's for true crime, people that are just really into true crime, but it's for also families and victims that need like an avenue to meet with people that can push their story out as well. There's a lot of podcasters out there. There's a lot of influencers, creators. And a lot of times these families that have somebody, a child or anybody in their family missing or something, and they can't get their story to the right, avenue or not enough audiences, they will actually pay the price of this ticket to go there and go to these booths and say, please, this is my child. Can you get more eyes on this story? And families go there. They want to listen to the Nancy Graces, to the Vinnies, to the Kendas, to what they have to say, because maybe there's just one thing that they're going to hear that will give them that, oh, that's what we didn't do yet. Let's do that. And at the end of these sessions, they do questions and answers too. So a lot of times these people can go up and say, hi, my name is so-and-so. My daughter's been missing since, 1983. I would love it if you can put eyes on this case. If there's anything, they just want some recognition that they matter too. It doesn't have to be the case that's in the headlines every single day. Cases that are 20, 30 years old matter as well. Their child matters
absolutely.
too. So,
and I didn't even think about that perspective too, for families to go and seek maybe additional help or attention on a case of a missing or lost loved one. So yeah, that's definitely something. I know we have someone in the chat who was also there too. I know Foxy, you were there, right? Or you're with Jay at CrimeCon?
where's the comment?
Let me see. What did Foxy say? I went to Vegas to hang out with everyone who went to CrimeCon because those ticket prices were a con. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so Foxy was in Vegas but didn't go to CrimeCon. So yeah, I totally missed it. I wanted to go.
There were so many hidden costs and fees that we didn't even know about until everybody got their bill, and everyone was like, we didn't even know about this stuff. And there's a lot of people in like the CrimeCon groups on Facebook and all that had the same complaint. We're like, holy cow, like this was the most expensive CrimeCon yet. Oh, so you asked earlier, is it in different locations or something like that? So what I heard now is because it's been purchased through Fox, that they're going to try to rotate the location with their 4 major places. So it's going to be always either Nashville, Denver, Orlando, or Vegas. And they're just going to rotate those 4 locations over, or maybe they're going to take Vegas out of the loop and put Chicago in because of what happened this year. But it's going to be those 4 locations. They're just going to loop it through every year.
So how many CrimeCons have you been to?
Just 3. I've been to Nashville, Denver, and then Vegas this year.
Wow. Well, I definitely have to make it a point to go. I know I just missed it. I was getting FOMO just watching everybody talk about their experiences out there and all the crazy events that took place that weekend.
Crazy. Yeah, it was fun. And next year's in Orlando. So yeah, you should definitely go. And it's going to be a big one.
I think we're going to have to.
Every year it gets bigger and bigger. And yeah, it's worth it. Like if you want to meet people in the industry and network with them and, see where, you can get your name out better, or like talk to, like I met with Chris and Karen from the interview room, Chris Hansen, but, I've been going for a few years, and plus I, was worked with a lot of these journalists and reporters before, but my first year, when I went to meet with them, like it was amazing for them to be like, oh my God, I've recognized you, or let's meet up, or let's talk later. Like that was it was such an honor, like it it just helps you, want to do more and get out there more, and it's worth it. And you can, you can do the lowest badge. You don't need the highest badge. That's just for like people that want to stand in line for meet and greets and stuff like that, where, a person like you or I, you don't need the meet and greets because you'll be able to network your way to those meet and greets yourself,
All right, you guys put a 1 in the chat if we should go to CrimeCon next year. I know some people were getting kicked out because they were streaming. I heard you're not allowed to stream while you're inside.
Yeah, because they just like in courtrooms, there's like an AP person that's just designated to do all the picture taking and all the video taking. And CrimeCon had a designated person for, picture taking and video taking and all of that. And they let you know when you're being filmed and videoed. So you can choose if you want to walk down that hallway at this time because it's going to be videoed, This was a hotel that had guests prior that stayed during the time of CrimeCon. So it was unfortunate for them because I saw families with kids have to walk down the hallway to get to their room and had to walk down like where, Creators Row was and all of it. So they would see like the blood and, just setups of people wanting, their merch like set up. And it's not anybody's fault, but timing, so it's like, for somebody just to come in and stream without notice or permission, it's like, well, then we're all going to do it and we're all going to bank on that. And you can't, it's just, you got to have etiquette. You got to have morals. You got to have couth. And that's just standard etiquette when you go to any conference, whether it's CrimeCon, Comic-Con,
Whatever
IT
con you're going to,
whatever it is, there are rules and you just have to abide by them. Like no matter where you are, you walk into Texas Roadhouse and you're not going to go and, take a dump in the middle of the floor because there are rules, so
100%. Well, I think
too. So it's not like it's brand new. This has been always, and there's signs everywhere saying this is where you're going to be filmed. You can't stream here. Better. Like, it's just how it is. It's no surprise.
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna have to earn our way into CrimeCon next year. Meaning we're gonna have to continue to hustle, work hard, and bring the truth out to our audience. And with the help of everybody here, we can do that. So Alina, I do want to thank you for joining us today. What do you have lined up? Anything else that you have lined up, and where can people find you?
They can find me on YouTube. I would love to get a lot more subscribers on there. All you got to do is click the button. Find me on TikTok. I'm on.
Go ahead and drop your page really quick to both TikTok, because I know you have a larger following on TikTok, but we want to help you grow on YouTube as well. So
I would appreciate.
Make sure that you guys follow Alina on the links. But anything you have planned coming up?
Yeah, I'm working on some cases. I don't like to mention the people's names because that's their privacy. And one interesting thing that happened from the trial over the last few days is people would come up and ask if I can help them with their individual cases. So I got a couple of those that I'm going to jump in and try to like research them. They even gave me their files. One guy came with a whole like folder organized. I don't want to show the front, but it's like, everything. And he's got like paperwork and pictures. I mean, just completely organized. And then this woman comes like same way. And, she had copies of everything and, just printed and I mean, written page after page and wants me to look into stuff for her. So I'm going to, and it's local. So, I'll help people in my community and then some other cases nationwide. There's several. So I'm going to be jumping on those. And obviously Nancy Guthrie is always on my mind. I spent a week over there and that case just is still something I would love to see a break in. I stand by what I've always thought and that it's wrench kidnapping. And
Did you hear about what Pima County put out today?
I've heard a lot of things that happened today over there. So which part?
Well, apparently the whole credible tip that there was something in Mexico. Did you hear something about that?
Yeah, it was by those madres that I actually worked with when I was over there for that week. That's a remarkable research team. But did anything come of that?
So actually, they just put out something about an hour ago that said Pima County Sheriff's Department makes arrest following complaints near Nancy Guthrie's home. Oh, okay. So this is in regards to the YouTubers that they arrested. Hold on, let me see. There was something that they put out. Oh, it said that we are aware of reports regarding an anonymous tip related to the Nancy Guthrie investigation that was provided to a group in Mexico. At this time, we have not been contacted by Mexican authorities. This investigation remains active and ongoing and will continue to follow up on any credible information. Nanos. So nothing really. I know TMZ put out an article about it, but I mean, right now there's really nothing solid. And I guess there were about, they said 50 some odd unmarked graves.
Yeah, that's what I thought I saw. Like they sent that team out to start digging, and that's the picture I saw. And they really are good. Like I watched their whole process, which is just remarkable. And I have videos of it and everything. And that's the video or the picture that I saw. I don't know if it's from that moment, and then I saw that they found a bunch of graves or, areas of graves or something along the border over there. So now they cannot attest to it being related to Nancy or just an area of death.
What are we at? Like 130 days already?
Yeah, like 122 or something, I believe. I'm not positive, but yeah. What do you think?
Buscando Corazones Nogales, I guess, is the search group.
Mm-hmm. It's like these mothers of Mexico. I kind of call them madres. They were amazing, and they've had over 5,000 recoveries, both deceased and alive. And
weren't they the group that was leading one of the only public searches?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and they had the National Guard to help them as well.
I hope we have a break in this. I mean, the family, Savannah is just holding it in, and she's just waiting for any kind of news.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get something.
They have to have something, and they've been a little bit tight-lipped about that DNA that was sent out, and it's time to kind of push on that and be like, so it's been a bit. What about that DNA? And I know they said it could take a year or so, but maybe it could take a few months too. So let's get an update.
Abraham, if you're going to Orlando, maybe I'll come out there. Maybe we can. I want to go to CrimeCon. I'm in LA, and I'm a very frequent visitor to Vegas, and I just had other plans that weekend. I was just so bummed because I wanted to go out there. I would have just went out there just to hang out. But
should have. I mean, there was a lot going on outside of the convention too, but even right up, heading right up to it, there's a lot of groups and stuff, and you can find out information on the happenings over there and who to meet up with that way too. So, I mean, if you have people offering a place to stay, it's worth it. I have the same offers as well for Orlando, and I'm 100% going to be taking people up on that. It ended up being so expensive. It was like, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, we definitely got to save up for something like that, because for me, that's a cross country trip. So
yeah, it's a lot.
Well, Alina, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Again, you guys, make sure you guys follow Alina at Crime Scene Collective. We've posted the links a few times in there. If not, we'll go ahead and drop them one last time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me too. I really had fun.
No, this was awesome. Thank you for bringing me back to streaming. It's been about a week since I've had a last stream, and then before that, I took a month off.
Oh, wow. That's like me. I take too much time off.
I mean, I'm a nurse and a nursing educator. So I just wrote a program for one of the recent programs that I'm currently teaching now. So it's been a lot of teaching and grading and all that stuff. So
That's so
it's nice to be back.
Yeah.
So we just dropped your TikTok page and your YouTube page. So I'm asking everybody here who's still here, please go ahead and follow Alina at Crime Scene Collective on all platforms, you guys. Let's get
Hi,
her.
Natty. I just got to say hi to my friend Natty. Hi, Natty.
Natty. What's up, Natty? Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Visiting us from Australia.
Oh, Australia family in the house.
CrimeCon next year and see us too.
Perfect. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Alina. We thank you.
Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely, 100%. Let me make sure I thank everybody who supported the channel. Coco Mom gifted 20 memberships today, and then I Rock became a new member finally. Finally. But thank you. Welcome to the inner circle. We appreciate you. And then Coco Mom sent Cash App earlier and another gifted $20. So we appreciate your super chat. Let's help Alina get there so we can help her monetize her channel too.
And thank you to your mods. They're amazing.
The mods are always amazing. We had Sydney, we had Mama Flo, we had Jazzy Jess, we had Chloe and Heather. Chloe is our legal correspondent here in the chat. So anytime we have any legal topics or discussions, Chloe is always the go-to. So we appreciate that. Again, you guys, thank you so much. I want to thank you guys for hanging out. This is Alina. I'm Flojo. This was Filling in the Gaps, and we'll see you guys later, you guys.
Good night.